everyone. Welcome to Abundantly Purposeful. Today, we're talking about risk. Sometimes that can feel very scary for some of us, and it depends what we're risking. If we're risking something really big and meaningful to us, it seems to cost us a little bit more. But we're going to break down sort of what that looks like with your money and with your life to take risks that are meaningful for you. My name is Kristyn Cozad. I'm owner and coach at Illuminating Purpose.
Hi, I'm Shelly Schell, and I'm a financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst and a co-founder of a firm called Prism Financial Strategies. And risk is one of those things in my world. Helping people with achieve their financial goals is something we talk about. That's a part of our questionnaire, right? Risk tolerance. What does risk mean to you? And honestly, the first thing I will say about risk is, okay, stop a second and think about the risk you take every day in your life. Everywhere you go, you get in a car, you have risk. You walk down the street, there's risk. I mean, it's as simple as why do we have car insurance, right? So risk can be something we hardly ever think about like that, right? How often do you think about that when you drive your car and you have your insurance? Well, not ever. But when you really stop to think about when people invest money, for example, that's when the risk becomes more real for them sometimes because they're really thinking about it and they're really focused in on it. And what does it mean if I lose money and that kind of thing? And I find it to be something where if we, as we decide to talk about this, like this topic, let's just think about the context in which the risk is about, right? And what it means in the big picture.
I like that. And I think that really risk, regardless of what area of life we're looking at, we always feel like it will cost us something. We forget to look that the greatest risk can be the greatest reward, right? Before we step out in it, a lot of times we think about what we can lose. And like you said, Shelly, about the insurance, like thinking about, being protected. What if I can really evaluate with myself, okay, am I safe within this risk? My personal safety, right? But what if I did lose something? What if there's something to learn there? What if, and I'm not speaking about money because I am not the financial advisor. This is Shelly's world. But what if taking a risk doesn't look like what I thought it would look like? What if it feels like losing something? My thought there is that means there was something to lose that probably needed to be lost if you're working towards your greater goal, if you're working towards your greater vision. And I work with women a lot on vision and what that really means to think about the broader picture and to be thinking about the things that they truly, really want in life. And if we risk nothing, there is no great vision. So really that does correlate with your money when thinking about really stepping out towards the life that we're creating and that we want for ourselves.
Yeah. And risk is some of those, the risk reward. Like if we never risk anything, like we don't risk our heart when we fall in love, right? If we don't risk our anything, whether it is investing or not, I mean, everything, if we don't take chances and use that word risk in a more appropriate way for ourselves and define what it means for us to push ourselves beyond our comfort level even, then we never grow either, right? So there's so much to that word in our everyday lives, and obviously not just with money. It's that comfort level that we need to have in life with that term risk. And maybe you change it up if you don't simply like the word, but it's still there and it still helps us to grow, right? If you don't make anything different in your life, or if you're always going down the path of no ability to grow, well, then what are you gaining, right? What are you ever learning about yourself and your journey? For me, that's just a really big thing to teach my kids, and as I work with clients, is this is your choice. This is your life. You get to risk or you get to not risk. But the reward on the other side is what you are really looking for, right? The ultimate goal of whatever that looks like for you.
And if the risk doesn't turn out looking like what you wanted it to look like, or you thought it would look like, you're going to learn something. That's the whole point, Shelly, right? Like the growth of that. the growth of risk is the reward in itself, and it will lead you to that next step. And really to challenge the idea that if we're risking something that we're not safe, that our personal, it's kind of this primal thing that kicks in where there's this fear that we're not inherently safe. But the reality is that anywhere where you're looking to take a risk or it's in line with your ultimate goals, you're pretty protected ultimately. Because if it's going to bring you closer to that point, if it's going to be a teaching moment, even if it feels like a setback, you know the steps to get back to where you were at the very least. Mm-hmm. So this is something to really jump out. And we talked about play in our last episode. And really, this is an area to start playing with and to change your entire relationship and the wording that you use, like Shelly said, around the idea of risk. That risk is actually a very good thing for us, and it furthers us ultimately and the bigger picture of our lives. And the saddest thing, and you hear this over and over about senior citizens who are on their deathbed, and what their regrets are the things that they didn't do, all the things that they wanted to do and they didn't do because they were afraid to take the risk. Whether that is loving someone, whether that is starting a new career, whether it's changing up the way that we do our health or our money. There are so many different ways to engage this. And if it sounds like a scary prospect, break it down and use that idea of play that we talked about in our last episode and use that to sort of build this relationship with risk and reframe it for yourself.
And we all have boundaries around what we're comfortable with, right? Like you were just saying. I mean, don't push yourself so far away from your boundaries when you're taking on some risk. Stay within your comfort zone, but take baby steps, right? So if you're trying to achieve a goal and you have these visions and this passion inside of you that wants to come out, but you're afraid of what the uncertainty of that looks like, well, that's risk. And it's okay to take baby steps to get there, but you don't want to not try just because it's scary and it's uncertain and it's unknown. And, you're supported in a community with, of whatever it is. I mean, I would recommend when you're looking for any kind of risk, like if you're investing, is that you have a partner to do that with. It's a financial advisor or somebody who can help you walk through the pros and cons of the risk you're taking. And if you're changing your business or you need some life coaching, that's what Kristyn does. I mean, it helps you, somebody to help you along that path so it doesn't seem so scary and you're not alone, right? So it's about community and we all go through it. Like we all think about different things we want to risk in our lives and challenges that are out there. And to me, the best part of that is really being engaged with others in the process. And that's where I found I grow the most. It's not only up in my head, right? Like I'm not alone here.
Well, I think that's a really great point. And honestly, our filter of life expands through the filter of the people in our community, right? People who are, I might have a propensity to be afraid in one area of life and somebody else I know is killing it. That's a great person to have around when I talk about that particular area of life. So I think that is a really important thing, is to engage our community in this idea and to start really, like Shelly said, it's your choice. It's your boundary. That's what play is. That's what starting to step out is. If it looks like a baby step to you now, take it. Take it and see what happens and have that playful attitude with it and that sense of adventure with risk instead of a sense of detriment. So my challenge for people this week would be to really reflect on your life. Look at the times when you've taken risks that felt like this might be something really scary. This might not go well for me, but you just felt in your heart and your gut that this was a really important thing for you to do. And really sort of break that down and analyze that into the lessons that you've learned and all of the good that comes from it. Don't dwell on what didn't work out, but really look at where you've taken a risk, even if it's one big risk that you took in your life. Look at the good that's come out of it when you look on the back end of it.
I love that, Kristyn. That's great. I'm going to take that advice. Okay, so for me, my goal would be that when it comes to money, do you know the risk you're taking and have you addressed it lately? And what does that look like as it aligns with your goals for the future, right? A lot of times, what I mean by that is a lot of people have identified their risk years ago in investing and they haven't really thought about it or re-looked at it in a long time. And risk can change, and so can situations with finances. And so just being aware of what the risk is you're taking with your money and making sure it still aligns with where you are and where you want to go.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. We're always honored to spend a little bit of our day with you and for you to join us. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. We do have a weekly unscripted video that comes out. It's just 10 minutes of your week, and we set up a challenge for you to hopefully step out in new things and try new things. And that's what we're here for, is to build this community of growth and excitement and play and adventure and risk and all of these good things that, with a financial planner and a life coach, we try to bring in the mix of all these things for you. So thank you again so much for joining us today.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We look forward to hearing your comments and seeing you again next week.